Welcome to 25/7 Tech. We're going to talk about today 5 steps that you can take to speed up your PC at home, no cost, and hopefully it'll really improve your experience with your computer. All right, so step number 1, we're going to talk about startup. Whenever it comes to your computer, there's a lot of things it has to do to boot up every day. Sometimes you may leave your computer on for a while. Sometimes you might reboot every day. It really depends, and the speed of that boot up time is going to become really dependent upon the software that you load every time. Things like antivirus, other services that are dependent on gaming launchers are really important to make sure that you understand the impact they have on your machine and how you can turn them off. So whenever you are in Windows, down on the taskbar, you can click on Task Manager, and then there's a tab, and this is specific to Windows 10. So in Windows 10, one of the tabs is Startup. There you can see all of the things that are launching when your computer boots up in the morning or in the evening or wherever you boot up. So those programs, you also see a time related to how long it takes for them to load. So that loading time is what you're waiting for basically when it starts the first time. There's dependencies as far as your antivirus. Is it going to try to scan the first time? There may be some things you don't want to run whenever it first boots up. And depending on how fast and capable your computer is, you may want to hold those things off until later, something you can run by yourself. That's really up to you, and that's your preference. But there's how you can really minimize the startup time of the computer itself. Step number 2 is Windows Search. So with Windows 10 came a lot of really good features. Those features include Cortana. And Cortana and Windows Search work together to give you predictive results in your search box. It helps you search your computer for files that you need to find. But Windows Search is really processor intensive, and it's also really intense on your hard drive. So depending on how powerful your computer is, Windows Search might really slow you down. So you can go into services on the computer. You can type that into the search box. You can go into services through Task Manager, just like we did with Startup. And then you can find Windows Search as a service. You can disable it. You can set up to start up automatically or start up manually. And that Windows Search, now, if you turn it off, you're going to lose the ability to search for files directly in the search bar of the computer. Now, that may be better as far as a performance perspective, and you just know where you save everything. That can be a problem, it cannot. I found it really helps out with more basic computers to go ahead and disable Windows Search, and it's going to help out your performance, especially for the first, say, 30 to 45 minutes after a reboot. It's not going to go through and try to re-index everything on your hard drive or in those preferred folders like desktop or documents. Step number 3, it's going to come down to OneDrive, Google Drive, iCloud, whatever kind of service you have on your computer that's set to back up to the cloud, or whatever cloud service that you have on your machine. So all of those services are going to be defaulted to back up a certain number of folders on the computer, like desktop, my documents, my pictures, my videos. It really comes down to whatever you want. You can add folders to those services to back up, but you have to understand it is automatic. It's going to back up whatever you put in there. So let's say you take a lot of pictures or you take a lot of video. If your OneDrive is set to back up your desktop and you save multi-gigabyte video files to your desktop, it's trying to back all of that up. So on top of filling up your cloud storage, it's going to take a lot of time to upload that information. That's going to bog down your network. That can bog down your hard drive. It can be really bad as far as performance goes. So understand what cloud services you have running on the computer and how they affect what you're doing from day to day. Try to do your best to set those folders up cleanly. Make sure that you only save there what you intend to save there. And if you have a lot of large files, you can create other folders in other areas like the downloads folder. You can even mark a folder. Say you have a folder in My Documents. You can mark that folder as something that you don't want to back up. Step number 4 comes down to updates and antivirus. I'd lump them together because the most common update you're going to get on a computer is going to be antivirus and security definitions. So those definitions, they come down quite frequently, especially in Windows, and they're going to download on demand or automatically. So Windows Update generally, especially in later versions of Windows 10, is going to default to do that work in the middle of the night, hopefully outside of what they call your active hours. It's pretty good, it's not bad. But if you keep your computer off at night, it's going to still try to get those updates during the day. And if you have a more basic machine, it's going to take a lot of processing power, a lot of hard drive, and a lot of network capacity in order to download those updates and get that information onto your machine. So if you can change the active hours of your update in Windows Update, and then also try to leave your computer up at night, just put it to sleep, and it should wake up in the middle of the night, get that information downloaded, and make sure that your computer is kept up to date. Because you always want to make sure you're kept up to date, but you don't want to try to run that stuff while you're doing other things like streaming video. Maybe you're trying to write a paper, or if you're playing games, the worst thing that you can have happen is to try to get a download that's going to take all your network away. And step number 5, and I think is perhaps the most important step, is your hard drive. The hard drive is probably the limitation on your computer, especially with processors coming a long way up until the dual core, quad core processors and the i5 and i7 series. They're really come a long way in their performance, and your limitation is going to be your hard drive. So, hard drive health is a topic that's been talked about for a long time when it comes down to two things: cleanup and defrag. So, cleanup does not happen automatically. That's something that you're going to have to do to go into disk cleanup. You can use the search bar at the bottom of the computer, search for disk cleanup, and that's going to open up a menu. There's two different kinds of cleanup. There's the regular cleanup that's going to be presented to you immediately. And then you'll see a button that says System Cleanup or Clean Up System Files. So whenever you click that button, that's going to allow you to clean up previous versions of Windows, old update files that you don't need anymore, and different kinds of caches that are stored on the computer that'll help you clean up a bunch of junk on the hard drive and free up some space. When you free up that space, it's going to make it easier for the hard drive to find and retrieve information that you're trying to load, especially if you're loading large files or games. Now, the defrag, that most of the time is defaulted to run automatically in Windows. Whenever that runs on a schedule, it's going to organize the information, organize it onto the earlier blocks of the disks, and make it to where it's retrievable much faster. If you perform those two steps, your hard drive speed is going to be greatly improved, and it's going to help the computer itself get the information that you're looking for and load much faster, especially whenever it comes to games. Loading that information fast really helps out. So there you have it. There's 5 steps that you can take at home on your computer that'll help improve your performance and hopefully your day-to-day use of your computer and your experience. So if you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll get back with you as soon as we can.